Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, January 28th, and today we saw a rebound in the markets from yesterday. The S&P was up 0.86%. You can see after yesterday's big red candle, down candle, it opened up today and rose above the 20-day, the 10-day, and the 5-day moving averages, but then closed down below them all. So there was selling pressure again today. After yesterday's big red candle, we thought maybe that could be a trend change. We wanted to see how stocks reacted today, if they could get back up above, and they couldn't hold, which has a tendency to think that sellers might still be out there and in control. So same thing with the NASDAQ today. It got above the 10 and 20-day moving averages but closed below. Bonds, we've been talking about this 20-day moving average, how it was being resisted and then peaked up above but sold off. Today, same thing, peaked up above the line, sold off, but then was supported here by the 10-day moving average, this yellow line, and it closed somewhere in between, right around the 5-day moving average here. So if, again, we still have this gap right here, and gaps like to get filled, so even though it was resisted by this 20-day moving average the last 4 days, as it bangs up on it, it's kind of like it weakens, and each new test of it weakens it and could break up through here and close this gap and test the 50-day moving average here. That would put pressure down on stocks, which would have them falling more, could have them testing this 50-day moving average down here from the NASDAQ at 370 here for the S&P. So that's just one possibility. The other possibilities is these stocks could rip up and continue on to make new highs. It peaked out above it today, above all the moving averages today, and could have weakened it so that tomorrow's a strong day. If that's the case, bonds would fall and maybe get supported down around here, but we don't know. We'll watch and see how stocks end up tomorrow. The dollar was down 0.25%, which helped boost up the stock market. The gold was also, well, it was up 0.9, but it gapped up above the 200-day moving average and then closed below it, which isn't a good sign. It gapped up right to the 50-day moving average here, the green line, closed below the purple 200-day moving average. So it still looks like there's a lot of selling in gold. And then we saw the volatility index. It closed yesterday at 37.21 and then opened down today here at 33.25. So there was some selling, some buying, early selling, and it got down to the 200-day moving average and was supported and bought and closed up at 30.21. So volatility is still on the side of the high side of the 200-day moving average, which also is another sign that we could be seeing more selling, more volatility here, that the market may have some short-term weakness, and so we actually sold out of our stocks today. Our stocks were up very big today. We'll start advanced auto parts here. We saw yesterday it broke down below the 200-day moving average but closed right at it. Today opened up, tested it, and went higher. There is this gap right here that is likely to be closed here in the next day or two. But with the market weakness, we decided to take profits or losses on our trades and get out and reassess the situation after we see what starts developing. So ABG, we saw this again supported by the 50-day moving average here. Yesterday broke below it, closed above it. Today same thing, closed a little higher. It was up 1.53% today. So there wasn't a whole lot of strength here. It also broke through the 50-day moving average again. There is the gap above. So it's possible in the next day or two we we get another test up here. But again, we sold this one, took profits on this one. We had just opened up, so just wanting to see how the market plays out first with all the GameStop and some of the stop trading where the brokerage accounts closed transactions for only to sell and not to buy, and so some of that weakness, there could be some weakness just with the volatility and unknowns here, so it's better to reassess the situation. Moving on here, we had ADP, which had closed below the 50-day moving average, also made new lows, and so we knew this was one that we were going to want to take profits on, or a loss on. It rose up today 4.5% and closed above the green 50-day moving average, so normally would be a strong indication that maybe it'd come back, but again, I don't know, with the weakness, we took profits here, or we took a loss on this one, but going to get out and reassess and look for a more favorable opportunity here. ASE, actually, it was up 0.73, has held up well. I'm sorry, ASX, and could have been one we'd hold if we were to buy back in tomorrow after reassessing. It would be one that we'd look to get back into because it's being supported by the 20-day moving average red line right here. It has support from the last few days. It's been in a nice uptrend, so is one we could take a chance and buy and set a stop if it started making new lows and breaking down along with the rest of the market. We could sell at a loss if we were to open this trade back up, but this one's still in good position. It is a trade that we might open up again. AY today, you saw it opened up and started falling. It fell down to the 50-day moving average green line here and was supported and ended up closing up for the day, up 4.3%. Still has the gap above it like a lot of the other stocks from yesterday's sell-off, and it's very possible the next day or two that gap could be closed, but I would think there might be some sellers up in that area, and so we got out maybe a little early, but out of that one as well. BSBR, it was up 3.61%. You saw yesterday it had the doji, the cross here, which indicates buyers and sellers evening out, and after a long downtrend, you see one of those, it's likely that the trend down has stopped and starting to reverse. We saw that today with a gap up, and the stock then ran up a bit throughout the day. Didn't quite reach what would have been our sell target, 7.71, but we ended up selling out of this one as well. Next, CSTL was up 5.74%. We saw it was supported the other day by the 50-day moving average, this green line. Today it gapped up and just ran all day. It didn't quite make new highs, so it's an inside day because the highs and lows were inside the highs and lows of the previous day, which indicates some indecision, but it's heading up in the right direction. Again, we sold out of this one at a profit of 4.5%, so we had bought this one yesterday. It must have been, so that was a good trade for us, got us back after yesterday's losses. ENBL, we've been holding this one for a while. It's been supported by the 50-day moving average, but day opened below it, never got above it, was resisted. We have the doji cross here, which means indecision, so it's possible that it didn't make any new lows from the previous days, that it could rise up, but again, we're out of this trade. There's a lot of resistance up here. If it were to get up, I think it would be met with some heavy selling. EPAC today went up and actually hit our target, but we didn't get filled. We sold further down. It was down 2.77% today, so a lot of selling still there. You can see there's a lot of resistance with the 10, and 20, and 50-day moving average above it. So we got out of this one as there's not much support right below here as it's looking like it's going to break down. I2UB was up 2.85%. We saw yesterday the Doji star and meaning indecision, buyers and sellers equaling out. Today it gapped up and ran a little bit. It didn't make new highs from the previous couple days, but it looks like this one could run up. The first target would have been the sell here at 5.6, but we went ahead and took profits on that today. Actually, that one we took a loss on, but loss of 4%, 4.3%. KEX was the next one, up 2.55%. So we saw yesterday it went down, tested the purple 200-day moving average, and then buyers continued buying. It closed up. It was a good solid green candle for us, and then we were thinking our profit take profits here at 52.71. We actually got out at 52.17, so when it gapped up in the morning, that's kind of when we sold. That one was a loss of 0.02%, so pretty much a wash for that. KNSL is the next one, up 1.08%. We saw yesterday, we saw the Doji as it was supported by the 200-day moving average purple line here. And then today it gapped up and up a little bit, but didn't quite reach the down 10-day moving average. Not much buying here. Maybe the selling's done. This could be one, if it does start breaking up, it could go all the way back up and touch this 220, but we're gonna we sold out, small 0.83% loss, and going to reassess here. The last ones I want to go over are TER. These are the trades that were generated today. So these are ones that we might look to get into here Monday also, and we'll go over them. TER hit the rising 50-day moving average, the green line here, and it closed below it. It was above it all day and then closed below it. There is this gap above, like a lot of other stocks, so because this one hasn't ran up yet like some of the other stocks did today, this might be a good opportunity if it can reclaim this 121, go back up and close the gap and up here around the rising 20-day moving average at 131. That would be a good trade for us, up almost 10%, so that's something we might look into. LOB, we saw this one supported by the rising 100-day moving average here, the light blue line. A lot of selling, but the selling kind of stopped. Some buyers came in, a lot of volume here, so this is one that could be ready to turn back around. The stock had been making new highs and was performing really well up until that break, so it has support here. It made a new low, so I think it's a good candidate for some mean reversion. Also, NTES was one. You see how strong it was, sold off slightly, strong, sold off slightly, closed the gap. It's being supported here at the rising 10-day moving average. It went down, touched it, came back up. So even though it closed down, this could be one that is going to get supported on to keep making new highs. Excuse me. ODP, this is one hit our trigger today also. You saw the Doji indecision, which means a little favoring the buyers. That the selling may have stopped. It was supported here by the 20-day moving average. So this is one that could go back up to test the yellow 10-day moving average here. That would be a good gain of about 8%, or and continue rising on. Or if it's going to fall, it has this 10-day moving average. It has support down here, so we have areas support. We could look to take the trade and get out if it got down below the red 20-day moving average. And the ASX, sorry, this is one we already have, so we'll get rid of that one. But so that's it. So the markets performed pretty well today. It was a bounce back like we expected. The only question is there more to it, or is this the new trend downward for a little bit. There are some risks. We're at all-time overvaluations, so it wouldn't be unlikely for a pullback to happen, but is it just a pullback or is it something more? So we're going to wait it out and recover and think about what's going to happen for tomorrow and watch and see if that gives us any indication. So good luck trading, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.